let's get into it. Let's start off with some Winnipeg Blue Bombers and CFL talk. The Bombers.
The Bombers.
Going really well right now. I'm yelling, join on the talk. Let's slow it down a bit. Take a breath. Have a little.
Take that sip.
Bombers signed kicker Chandler Stanton. Initial thoughts on that?
Starter, right? No, okay. Maybe not. It's a good signing. He had a pretty good career up in college in the States there. Finished off his last season at 95%. So good guy to bring in and give some competition to Marc Liegghio and see what he can do. Seems like a very good player. He had a trial with the Packers last year, undrafted. So didn't end up making it, but seems like a good deal to bring in and compete.
I'm having a good time watching Justin Pilardi kick online. This guy posts once in a while. He's at the field, staying in shape. But you know, if it's Pilardi, it's Pilardi. But bring in someone experienced. It's great that they're bringing this kid in. He had one good season. Like his first season, he was 80% on maybe like a dozen kicks, and then he went 60%, some 60+%, not 60 like 5 or whatever, 68 around there. And then he had a huge year last year, missing only a couple kicks and hitting all his converts. So yeah, why not bring an unknown in? But I really would love to see an experienced kicker. Sorry, I'm just, the past two Grey Cups, Castillo, Medlock, like.
Yeah, and sometimes these kickers, though, they got to start somewhere, and this seems like a pretty big option or good option to bring in and see what he can do. He did leave that school as the career point leader and stuff like that, so I'd like to see what he can do. I do agree, probably bring in another vet to compete. I don't know if you actually have ever a 3-person competition for kickers ever, or more than 2. But was Pilardi was a punter though, wasn't he, or was he also field goals?
He's a place kicker.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
How old is he now? Anyways, though,
he's a kicker. We've seen Troy and Bob and Trevor all play well into their 30s and Bob late 40s. But yeah, I'd like to see an experienced kicker. Yeah, it'd be good to give a young guy a shot. But again, we have an unproven when it comes to a big game on the big stage, and that's where it really hurt. I'm cheering for Liegghio, to be honest with you. It's great that they're bringing this kid in to give him competition, but I do want Liegghio to succeed. I do want him to overcome this pressure of having it. But I don't want to have another new kicker and then find out that in crunch time they can't do it because they've never been there. I don't know.
Yeah, Liegghio took a step last year, right? He got better than the year before when he was floundering and Mortada came in and stuff like that. And then they had to go get Castillo too, right? So yeah, he got better last year. And I think you can almost see early, probably in the season, once it starts, if he's going to make those pressure kicks. And then you can kind of make a decision. It sucks to make a decision in week 2, 3, 10 kind of thing that, hey, he's not going to be able to do it. And you have to find a guy. Maybe you got to go find a veteran guy. But I feel like you can't give up on him too quickly. We gave up on Liam Hiralahu.
Yeah. We say at the same time. Jinx. I mean, drink Ryan Coke.
And because I remember being at an Eskimos game, or an Elks, I guess, past Eskimos back then, game at home, watching him miss like 5 field goal attempts, and them lose that game. So, and then he left and then he got better. So I feel like that could happen with Liegghio. I'm not ready to quit on him just yet unless they bring in a veteran guy.
Yeah, after I got up my Grey Cup frustrations the day after, it's good that we had a podcast right after. I just let it out, and I'm just ready to chill, go back to let's give him some time to grow. Because I think he's still the best option, unless they bring in someone experienced.
Yeah.
Let's look quickly. Last week we had the question online about the Bomber fantasy. Who would you choose to be your starters? We had quarterback, receiver, and running back. And just as an update online, our online fans picked up Zach Caleros as quarterback. James Murphy will be joining Milt Stiegel, and Charles Roberts takes the running back position. Couldn't really go wrong.
No, did you put Matt Dunnigan on those polls?
No, they only allow us 4.
A lot of people want Matt Dunnigan, and I actually don't blame them. But like you've said in the past, and we've said, he ended up missing, unfortunately, one of the most important games in Bomber history when it came down to it. So
yeah, he has. Go ahead.
Had he won a Grey Cup here in Winnipeg, I think it would have been different. He was obviously a very good quarterback. There's no questioning that. I mean, he set the passing yards in one game record and all that stuff. But
we had 4 options. Yeah, we have the most yards ever. The second closest to that. We have the greatest bomber of all time, according to many, and we have the bomber currently who's won 2 Grey Cups, or who had won 2 Grey Cups in a row. So, sorry, Matt Duggan fans, but he didn't quite make the cut this time around. Whoops, Coach Mike Kelly.
Yeah, Mike Kelly wants Matt Dunnigan.
That's okay. We'll figure it out internally. Let's go to another all-time question. Bomber all-time defensive line. All-time. This was a hard one. There's so many good ones.
Yeah.
I'm going to just say what 4 I picked, and then we'll just talk if we do have any differences, and we'll double up on the ones we have the same. I got Doug Brown and Michael Gray on the inside, and I have Willie Jefferson and Alfred Payton on the outside.
Yeah, that's good. I didn't really pick outside inside. I just went with the 4 best kind of here. And I agree with you on Jefferson and Doug Brown. Those to me are no-brainers. Alfred Payton as well, I'm going with. I was trying to find other guys that had that kind of seasons that he had. I know he wasn't in Winnipeg for a long time, but he did lead the team in one season with 22 sacks.
That's crazy. That's cool.
Yeah.
22.
Yeah, in one season,
Swack.
Yeah, I had a hard time picking the other guy. Like there's so many other guys. You got, and I didn't even think about Michael Gray even. I'll admit that. I got Jackson Jeffcoat. I got, Gavin Walls.
He's awesome.
Jamal Westerman, and then when I was looking this up, I found out this Tony Norman guy back in 88 to 86.
He was dominant, man.
And I'm like, I don't even know who to pick here. And then you even had Tom Canada, who, for his few seasons here, was an amazing guy, and he was around when the team wasn't very good, and he was still shining bright. They made the Grey Cup in 2007, but it wasn't the greatest years before that. And I'm going to go with the latest, and I'm going to go with Jeffcoat just because he's been around for a long time, or not a long time, but he's been around for the last few seasons, had some success in this Bomber team. So I'm going to go with Jeffcoat.
If you want to go really far back too, there's Herb Gray, who played offense and defensive line. And he's like the first defensive lineman to win. Remember the Shenley Awards?
Oh, yeah.
Those were so awesome on the 80s, watching the Shenley Awards, watching Willard Reeves and James Murphy and Chris Walby carry them Shenley. Yeah. Any which way, he was the first defensive lineman to win the Lineman of the Year Shenley Award. So Herb Gray could have easily been in there. Obviously never got to see him play. But yeah, I went with Michael Gray because he was here for a good 7-8 years. He has that monumental, immaculate interception play in the 1988 Grey Cup in Ottawa, that legendary game where Bob Cameron won Canadian of the game
against Matt Dunnigan.
There we go. And he could play both inside and outside. He had like double-digit sacks his first 3 years in Winnipeg. And it was just a disturbing force on those dominant defenses. So I had to go with Michael Gray. Also, shout out to Stan Mikowas, another good defensive lineman I watched growing up.
Yeah, there was a lot to choose from. It's a tough position because you think, okay, you got the last few seasons of Jefferson and Jeffcoat just wrecking havoc, and then Richardson on there too, kind of thing. Casey Sales, but it's just been dominant. Some of these guys, like Alfred Payton, Tom Canada, even as Tony Norman. When I was looking it up, they only started keeping track of sacks in 81, so a year after he'd started. Yeah. And he ended up in 6 seasons with 59 sacks total, which is, I think, is second behind Tyrone Jones on the team. So
that's crazy.
And that was the 86. They won the Grey Cup in that span, and that's when they got better and they were a dominant team.
Absolutely. That defense was crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, Doug Brown. Doug Brown was like the automatic for me. Willie Jefferson was almost automatic. He's so dominant, such a game changer, nonstop motor. He can change the face of a game at any moment. But Doug Brown was the number one for me. It helps that he's Canadian, but he was in the early 2000s defenses, and he also was in that dominant Swaggerville defense, and he was the rock that they built that defense around. So Doug Brown was a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, he is for sure a no-brainer as well on my thing, and I feel like Willie Jefferson as well on mine. But yeah, Doug Brown, there's the longevity of it all, right? He was here for a long time. He was consistent throughout that whole time. A lot of guys taper off by the end of it, right? But Doug Brown was still going strong by the end. He's in the Hall of Fame. You can't go wrong with Doug Brown at all.
Absolutely. And I loved watching Alfred Payton play when I was a young guy. He was just he was fun, he was brash, and he was mean when he was on that field. Chris Walby said he was like one of the toughest opponents he's faced.
Yeah, that's right.
In fact, when he got hurt, I think it was when he was facing Alfred Payton on a slippery turf when his knee was already hurt. So if Chris Walby says he's one of the best that he's faced, I might as well put him on my defensive line.
Oh yeah, and then he came back and tormented the Bombers after when he was with the Stallions. And all
that was the worst. That was the worst. So good.
Oh, he was good.
Let's talk about some CFL. Let's go into CFL talk. There's some great conversation online about the idea of having a fan board in the CFL that the league can consult with. I think it's a damn good idea. It should have been happening a long time ago, especially when you have 3 teams that are community-based, community-owned. Why wouldn't you listen to them? They're the most passionate fans in the league, the most profitable teams in the league. So with that in mind, if you were on this board, what would be the first idea you'd bring to grow the game?
You got to figure out a way to bring teens back into this game and have those kids grow into CFL fans. Because right now the NFL takes that cake, and if you go to schools or whatever, what are they talking about most? Right? Is NFL, because that's what's out there. But if you can continue, and I know they do it a lot here in Winnipeg with the Oliveira visiting schools, because he was at my son's school not that long ago. Nick Dembski was as well, kind of thing, and signing autographs, talking to the kids, bringing them out. So my goal or my idea would be bringing these kids. How you do it, I don't know. You got to start offering. I know they offer discount on tickets, but maybe you got to offer free tickets here and there to some games with a purchase of an adult ticket or something like that. Because I know at the same time you don't want to be losing money, and it is a ticket-based league right now, right?
Absolutely.
So figure out a way. I know the upper decks for the Bombers, a lot of the times they're not sold out, right? Upper corners even. So offer maybe those tickets and buy one, get one free kind of thing. Bring those kids in.
That's a big issue that they've had over the years of getting a younger audience because they are so dependent on the attendance and ticket revenue. And in addition to that, then my idea would be to really, through the years when we were growing up with the Grey Cup and the CFL, it always felt like the CFL was part of the Canadian fabric. It was Canadiana. It was important to what it is to be Canadian, and it's part of that. It's a great Canadian drunk everyone would watch on that day, whether you follow the league or not. And it seems to have lost that over the years. And I think you really got to invest in that, and you really got to bring in new Canadians, really concentrate on these great immigrant populations that you have, especially in cities like Toronto and Vancouver, where you have all those empty seats. Fill them up, give them the experience, go into their neighborhoods, go into their organizations, teach them the game and the importance and the history of the game, because it is important to Canadian history, the CFL, and it's been lost over the years, unfortunately.
Yeah, for sure. There's so many things they can do out there that to start bringing, new people into this game. And like you say, a lot of people that come to Canada, this is their time, an opportunity to try to grab their attention, and bring them to this sport and see, hey, this is what we have to offer, and you got maybe half of them might catch on and enjoy it. The other half might go, whatever, it's terrible. But
it's a long-term project. It can't be, you build it up one time and the next year, if you don't see it right away, well, it's a long-term thing.
Yeah.
Let the generations grow, let the fans grow. You do have empty seats to fill, so might as well bring them in, let them see the game, expose them to game day activities, catered towards them, let them have a good time and see what happens.
Yeah, there was another thing on Twitter the other day about I can't remember what stadium it was now, but having like a $5 menu or something for drinks and hot dogs and hamburgers and stuff like that. And you almost have to do that too, and it's not necessarily about the
beers. Got to be affordable.
Yeah, the beers, whatever, because obviously you got cheap beers, people get out of hand, right? But food wise, you know what? Bring in lower prices and have them throughout the game. More people will end up going there and enjoying a meal or whatever, or having a burger. But sometimes the price of everything combined, it just pushes too many families away. Yeah.
Well, then maybe they got to find a better contract to get some money in the owner's pocket so they can lower the food values. And also they're not so dependent on that. What is a popular, unpopular view you have on the CFL?
I don't know where this ranks or where it is, but I feel like the CFL with 9 teams should go to 16 games, have a home and away game for every team, No more unbalanced schedule. No more, hey, you only play this team once this season kind of thing. I would love it. And once you get to that 10th team, if it ever happens, then go to the 18. I don't like that some teams play this team 3 times, and last season it was 4 times. That should never happen. Yeah. So I'd like to see them change that schedule for now until that 10th team gets brought in.
Ooh. Yeah, I know. I love 18 games.
I love it too, but I don't like sometimes teams are crap, right? They're going to have a crappy season, and you get to play that team 3 times. You get a benefit out of that, right? Whereas someone else doesn't get to play that team 3 times. So,
yeah, that's true. My unpopular view would be that probably I love the Rouge. I really do. In almost every situation, I like it, and I hope they never get rid of it, and I hope they never tweak it. I am willing to take the once in a blue moon. Remember when they had that penalty last year where the guy didn't even get to return the ball out of the end zone? I really hated that moment, but I'm willing to take that once in a blue moon for all the rest of the Rouge fun. They can win a game by missing a field goal. So what? Play defense then. Don't let them get close where they can kick the ball out of the end zone. It's a 20-yard end zone.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on. I love the Rouge. So
yeah, it's not an NFL end zone where it's small and chances of it going out are pretty good, right? You got a chance to return it, or because the craziness of the CFL, you can punt it back out. Right.
Absolutely. So, it's not like you can line up for a field goal from 40 yards and just drill it all the way through.
No,
you got to put some air on it or else someone's going to block it on the line. So that means it's probably returnable. So I love it. I love the Rouge. All y'all haters on the Rouge. Oh, well, too bad.
And it's just like people say, okay, it was one of the Bomber games last year, right? We're saying punted through the end zone, the Montreal game, right? Punted through.
Yeah.
Right. But it's also then a 60-yard punt if you're punting it from the 40 or whatever, because the end zone, you got to get it out. Yeah. So it's not so easy that everyone's thinking, yeah, no one.
There you go. Love that Rouge. I'm going to get that on the shirt. I love the Rouge.
Do it.
Let's go. Oh, okay. We'll get them made. Watch that. Ray and Betty fans, put that. Watch it. Well, you know what? We will. It's going to be on Etsy very soon. Yeah. Hey, friends and neighbors, don't forget to check us out online on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Ray Benny Sports. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. Leave a like, leave a comment. Tell us what you think.